Can I see a quick show of hands in the comment section down below of anyone who would be interested in seeing a top 10 White Stripes video right here on this channel? You know, I would really like to do it, but maybe like let me know with a comment or a like or something. I don't know how you guys feel about them. That's hopefully sarcasm. Please confirm my affirmations and let me make this video. What's up everyone, John from ARTV. It's time to talk about the compilation released 1998 to 2016, Acoustic Recordings by Jack White, one of my favorite musicians, just an amazing guy, an eccentric personality, the Edward Scissorhands looking motherfucker of the world of music. I love this dude to death. His guitar playing is just unmatched by so many other people out there. I mean, I don't know if he's the greatest guitarist of all time or anything like that, like some people will throw out, but he definitely is one of my favorites of this current century. The White Stripes remain one of my favorite bands of all time. They were so influential on my music taste, and I was excited to see just a compilation of acoustic takes, some new renditions, some remixes, some acoustic takes on some of the White Stripes' songs. A lot of their stuff already was acoustic, of course, some Raconteurs songs as well, and of course, White's own solo material, and putting that into acoustic form. And I don't know, I was excited by the idea of that. I really love the album Blunderbuss that came out in 2012. And its follow-up wasn't quite as great. It had a few songs on there that I really did gravitate towards, but Lazaretto was kind of disappointing as a whole. Wow, I really love the way that this album cover feels. White, of course, released this compilation on his label Third Man Records that's been active since the mid-2000s. Only the final White Stripes album, Icky Thump, got a release on that label. But I was really excited to just see this taking off for him and being a consistent thing. In the world of music, Jack White is a huge advocate for physical copies. Most importantly, not just CDs, but vinyl is really his forte. So I'm planning on picking up this compilation record on vinyl, of course. I think it'll sound even better on the turntable. I'm not going to spend a ton of time talking about this release, mainly because it is songs that I've already talked about in forms of like other album reviews, or maybe I'm planning to talk about in the future and that sort of thing. But I wanted to give you a kind of a general outline on how I'm feeling about these new takes, some of the old songs that I love hearing as well, and just the flow of this record. I think it flows perfectly, and honestly, if you've got some time on your hands for 26 songs in a row, this is just a soothing car ride at night. I've done it, and I can attest to this. It sounds fantastic. I'm really loving moments like Carolina Drama, originally by the Raconteurs, now kind of taken as a Jack White solo acoustic track, and I think it puts a lot more emphasis on the vocals, of course, and the storytelling narrative. I love the angle that it gives here. I like his interpretations of On and On and On, and Just One Drink, a new side to that track, a little bit less country than maybe it was on the album, and maybe a little bit more toned down, but it still sounds fantastic, and I think that was one of the most fun songs on Lazaretto. There's some great takes from Blunderbuss as well, and obviously the first disc that this album is split into. I love hearing those old White Stripes tracks. It just really brings up a lot of nostalgia for me, especially with songs like Apple Blossom, just a beautiful track kind of detailing love, wanting to be there for someone. It sounds absolutely fantastic. Sugar Never Tasted So Good is another one that's really catching my ear, and one that is just kind of heart-wrenching in a way. A track that I hadn't paid enough attention to, I don't think, up to this point, and one that's really standing out. In fact, he played this one on Fallon. You've Got Her in Your Pocket. It's a track that seems to be about thinking that you've got someone, you take them for granted, and then they kind of run away, and you don't know what to do with yourself anymore. And I love how White gets almost emotional on this track. You can really feel the message that he's trying to convey. I loved hearing the Beck produced Honey We Can't Afford to Look This Cheap, originally produced in 2007. In fact, the only song that Jack White didn't produce himself in the entire White Stripes era. I like that they tried one new thing, didn't really get out there in the world, but now we're getting to hear that alongside City Lights. I love the guitar on that track, regardless of what a lot of people are trying to say that the message of this track is about. I think it's a lovely little song. It runs a little bit too long, almost 5 minutes. It could have been cut a little bit shorter and I would have been okay with it, but I think White sounds fantastic here. The idea was had back in the recording sessions for Get Behind Me Satan, which is my favorite White Stripes album, but it wasn't brought to the light of day until now, and I'm so glad that we have it because I love that album to death, and I can definitely see that even though some of the lyrics were finished and tweaked later on, I can definitely tell, at least with the musicality, that it would have fit with that album's aesthetic. A few other White Stripes songs that have really been standing out in my mind now thanks to this release, first of those being Effect in Cause. cause, one where I feel like Jack White is just kind of pointing fingers at certain individuals or groups and that sort of thing, and he's never been afraid to do that. He just really sells it well. The snark on this track and the sarcasm just kind of seething around all of the edges of this track. As Ugly as I Seen, White Moon, and then most importantly for me, Forever for Her is Over for Me. That's one that has been stuck in my head non-stop since I started listening to this compilation. That track is fantastic. I love everything about that instrumental. The way it builds, the pianos on that track, it really showcased the just kind of signature change in style for the White Stripes that they were going for. Taking away some of those harder guitars, taking away some of the harder hitting drums, and then just kind of dialing it back and adding in these extra instruments that you maybe wouldn't expect. And it definitely is more of an acoustic leaning track. There's a few other elements on there other than the acoustic guitar, obviously, and with this album in general, but I love what they did on that one, and it's a White Stripes song that you need to hear. In fact, that might just make my top 10. Are there other highlights on this compilation release? Absolutely. I love everything from I Guess I Should Go to Sleep, bringing up some of those Jack White solo songs that I had kind of forgotten about, that it brings them back to my attention, and I'm like, maybe I should give this more of my time of day and come back to this more often. And then the new version, the bluegrass version of Top Yourself, kicking off the second disc here and just sounding absolutely fantastic. I love the energy that that song presents in a weird way. Even though a lot of this album is dialed back, it doesn't mean that it's totally lifeless by any means. I'm really enjoying this compilation. I think you guys should check it out, especially if you're a White Stripes fan, a Raconteurs fan, a Jack White fan in general. I know that I am. I recommend checking this out. For Acoustic Recordings 1998 to 2016, I'm gonna go with a 4 out of 5. I hope you guys enjoyed my review of this compilation. Let me know your thoughts on it in the comments section down below. There's a link to stream it if you haven't heard it already. You can check it out on Apple Music or Spotify. Thanks so much for watching, hitting the like button on this video, subscribing to the channel. Other than that, you can check out another Jack White or White Stripes review that I've done on this channel by clicking those little annotations below me, and I will see you guys very soon right here on ARTV.